Well, we finally got the camera adjusted here, and we're sitting down at my wheel. Hopefully we can see the pot as it's coming up in the mirror. Worked pretty good the other day. Sort of like this area. We're using my custom mixed clay here. It's a stoneware body. We've weighed it on our scale. It weighs exactly 1.5 pounds. And as I've said in the past, I pay for de-airing the clay and having it to a specific softness or hardness, as the case may be. And I don't really do much wedging. I know that's sort of against the law, but it seems to have worked for the last 20-some years. And what gives you carpal is wedging. Wedging, that action of moving your fingers back and forth and the thumbs and the pressure you're putting on your hands, if you can afford it. Now, students like my son Danny, he's still going to school. He processes clay just like I processed clay when I was a younger man. Now what's happened is my time is too valuable to mess with it. I have a very nice pug mill in the basement made by Bluebird. I have slab rollers and other things, and eventually we'll get downstairs to look at those things. But here comes a throw of a tankard. 1 pound, 8 ounces. On the wheel head, and here we go. Oh, that was good. We're doing that coning process again. That coning actually does a lot of wedging for you. It straightens the platelets in the clay out. Sometimes if you get a piece of clay that just absolutely will not center, chances are you probably got a big bubble in there somewhere, and you might be smart to start over. So let's see if we can drive this stuff into the middle of that wheel head here. When times get tough, what I do is I plant my elbow in my knee, and I use my hand and my knee to hold the clay and basically center it. Okay, now we're making a sort of a wide bottom. So this looks like it's fairly centered. The way you can tell it's centered is if it isn't moving around. Okay, we're going to do this in real speed time again. We're going to drop the hole. We're going to measure the floor. I always measure the floor. If you don't measure the floor, you'll end up having a pot that's going to end up cracking on you. That looks like exactly about 1/4 inch, which is good. Now we'll fill in this little hole made by the needle tool, and we're going to pull the floor. Just pulling straight back with one finger towards you. Now I'm compressing the floor here. Just compressing it down and getting all the platelets lined up and try to get it relatively flat. The more you compress, the less chance you have of cracking. Now we'll put the swirl in this bottom of this piece because we're going to make a tall mug or tankard here. We're going to start our first pull. Thumb on the outside, fingers on the inside. A little help from the sponge, and push inward and up as we go. Sort of like a pinching thing I'm doing. Finger position like that, and we're giving it a little pinch. Okay, second pull, here we go. Undercutting, coming up, going in slightly all the time. Keep pushing this into the center. And we're doing pretty good. This, I try to say first pull, second pull, third pull, but sometimes that's not necessarily what I'm into. Sometimes it takes 4 pulls or 5 pulls. Making the shape, pushing inward, 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 always inward. Now we're getting up there. I think we'll do one more pull on this real quick. It looks like it's fairly tall. A lot of throwing lines, a lot of movement up into the piece. Sponge on a stick. Let the slurry come out the bottom. You don't want to let it stay in there too long or the pot gets soggy. Although I've had them in there for quite a while, it won't destroy your pot immediately. Now, as in some of the other pots I make, we're going to collar this up into the cone shape, just slightly moving it till it gets smaller and smaller at the top. Slow down here and take your time. And you might not be able to see this right now, but in my hand I'm holding my sponge, and my sponge has got some water in it. And the reason for this is I want to keep the pot lubricated all the way up to the top. So I will keep my fingers on the pot, and I will also have the sponge just slightly touching the pot over here. And then we'll continue our collaring process because it's harder to collar it than it is to throw it. I want to get any ripples going here. Close this top down pretty much, and we can clean this up with a needle tool later. So if it's jumping around a little bit, it won't really hurt you. Now we're getting the basic form. And now this top is doing the, it's jumping around a lot. So what we're going to do is we're going to cut it off with a needle tool here. And what the needle tool will do is, first of all, we want to find the lowest spot that we could trim at. And then the trimming takes place where the finger is supporting the inside of the pot, the needle tool held in a firm grasp on the outside, and we want to let the pot go around at least 6 times before the needle goes through. So we're gently going to cut this off. 1, 2, 3. There it goes. Once it comes off, we have